title to the truck, because that was his only...
Whatever. It was really to be held as collateral until the bill was paid.
The title.
The truck, not the title. The title isn't worth anything. The title is just a piece of paper. Your husband got out of jail, and an agreement was not worked out, I assume. Your husband went and took the truck. At some point, your husband went and took the truck from where? Miss Nicolay?
Actually, she stole it from my house on November the 15th.
Who came and took the truck from the house?
Dolores and the tow truck driver that she supposedly is having an affair with.
I don't care about that. Now, what you want is, you want the truck back. Do you have the truck now?
No, I sold it.
Sold it. When did you sell it?
I sold it, actually I signed title over a few days ago to a gentleman that had purchased it.
So this is February.
Yes.
Between the time that she signed the truck over to you, which was when?
She signed it over on September the 18th.
And when did he get out of jail?
He got out in October.
Between October and February, when you signed title over to somebody else, did he pay you the money for the phone bill?
No, he did not. He called me up and said that we had agreed on $430 and I would turn the truck over to him. And there you have a Thunderbird that's been sitting on our property that I agreed to store. And that and the truck he was to pick up on November the 15th. And that's the date that they stole it.
November 15th, he was supposed to bring you the money.
He was supposed to bring the money and remove both the vehicles from the property. And that day they stole the Blazer from the property.
You mean she came with the truck?
The tow truck gentleman, when I was not on my property, and loaded it up onto the vehicle, the back of the tow truck.
Okay, where's the husband now?
As far as I know, he was taken back to jail.
He was released. He was taken to jail.
She knows a lot more about your husband than you do.
Because
He was released. When?
I don't know. I talked to the CHP officer, and they said that they released him. Parole did.
Okay. So, Miss Horton, what do you want?
all I wanted was for Michael to have his truck back, because at the time I had already purchased a vehicle.
No, what do you want now?
What do I want now?
Yeah.
To take all this back where it originally started, because it wasn't for her to have to do with whatever she wanted to do with. It wasn't her. She got
no,
a truck.
I'm asking what you're suing for now.
For the vehicle, because it wasn't hers to sell.
Sure it was. She had the title.
But I didn't sign it for that purpose. Her and I
You signed
were
it
friends.
over to her so that she could get paid from your husband for the phone calls that he had made to you collect. He got out of jail. He didn't pay her for the phone bill. What did you expect her to do?
Well,
you want to be standing over there and she's standing over here and saying you owe me $430 for a phone bill?
Actually, that would be all right, because it wasn't between me and her. It was between Michael and her. And
No, it wasn't.
She had talked to Michael on the phone.
No. No, it wasn't originally. According to you, it wasn't originally. According to you, the title to the truck rested in you. You had the ability to sign over the title to her. You did. You did. And you said, this is your story. You said, I thought she could use it for leverage to get Michael to pay the phone bill. That's what you told me. That's what you said right here.
Partially, because originally the truck title was in Dolores and Michael, or Dolores and Michael. And
Whatever, I
Pam,
don't care. I don't care about that. The title to the truck is in your name. According to your complaint, you say that you wanted her to hold the truck to give her leverage to get Michael to pay the bill. That's what you say.
That was something we both had discussed for my best
Fine, that's what
interest.
you decided to do. So she said, fine, I want my phone bill paid, and if I can't get my phone bill paid, at least I have something from this jailbird who's in and out of jail all the time. Right? She knew she wasn't going to get a sou out of you. Why didn't you pay the phone bill? It's your husband.
I had attempted to pay in ways of helping her with her mom's.
Not helping her. Straighten out a house and babysitting her children. I'm talking about paying her cash money, U.S. dollars, to pay for her phone bill. The phone company doesn't accept babysitting services.
Well,
the phone company accepts cash money.
for one, I wasn't the one who was accepting the phone calls. I didn't tell her to do it.
Did you ask her if you could collect phone calls from my husband so I could talk to him?
No. Michael had asked her and her son before they even discussed it with me, because
Go ahead.
No.
Yeah,
Actually,
she's full of baloney. I got that already.
Actually, she had received a few phone calls before I'd even known that the phone calls were receiving at my mother's home. My mother is an elderly lady, and she has Alzheimer's disease, which lives on our property. My son stays down there with her. And Dolores was going down there and receiving the telephone calls.
Before you even knew about it.
Right.
That sound right to you?
I think DJ was the one who accepted the phone calls.
Whatever. It's not her responsibility. It's not her responsibility. It's your husband.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Dolores Houghton says former friend Pamela Nicolay owes her for a Chevy Blazer. Pamela says the truck was collateral for collect calls made from jail by Dolores's husband.
You want to say to him, don't call here, collect anymore? I'm not going to be here to speak to you because I don't want to incur any bills.
I did try that.
You tried it, but it didn't work. All you have to do is not go to the phone.
And there was times I never went to the
I'm
phone.
not talking about times you never went to the phone. $430 worth, you did go to the phone.
Okay, I went to the phone.
According to you, it's not your truck anyway. It's Michael's truck. Right? Is that what you just told me? It was Michael's truck? So what are you doing here? You want money from her?
No, I was wanting Michael to get his truck back so
He can't get his truck back. She sold it. So what do you want?
I guess if she wanted her $400 phone bill, she got paid her $400 phone bill. And in reality, if I sold her the truck, well, how much did I sell it to her for? $400?
How much did you get for the truck?
I had to put a lot of money back into it, but I sold it for $1,500.
Good. So you made a profit.
After Michael put a transmission in it.
After they stole it, they put a transmission in it.
Well, that was nice of him.
Yeah.
He should have saved the money that he spent on the transmission and given her her phone bill.
He got a transmission.
24-year-old former babysitter Charity McCumber is suing one-time client, 27-year-old waitress Chastity Newby, for terminating her daycare services without proper notice. Chastity says Charity neglected her children. She's countersuing for medical bills and lost wages.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom. All rise. Miss. Your Honor, this is case number 84 on the calendar in the matter of Macumba versus Newby. You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats.
Miss McCumber, according to the complaint that I have read, you were employed by the defendant as a babysitter for her two children, her little girl who was 5 and a baby who was a year and a half old. You claim that she fired you.
Yes.
She fired you owing you money.
Yes.
And she has some of your property. The defendant says that she owes you nothing and is counterclaiming because she says that because of your negligence, one of her children was hospitalized for 3 days. How did you come to work for her?
A friend of mine had gotten my number from her, and then she contacted me because I was going to start a child daycare center. And she didn't want to bring the children to my home, so I went to her home.
Are you a licensed daycare provider?
I'm getting my license.
So you are not a licensed
No.
daycare provider. Do you have your own children?
I have one son.
How old is your son?
He's 10 months.
So you would be watching 3 children.
Right.
And what was the salary arrangement?
I was supposed to get paid $15 a day for the baby and $12 a day for the 5-year-old.
So a total of $27 a day.
Correct. She was also to give me a 2-week notice if she wasn't gonna, if she was gonna have another babysitter.
Okay, is that correct?
No, that's not correct.
What's not correct?
There was no verbal agreement about a 2-week notice, either on my part or her part.
Okay. Were there any problems that occurred between the time you started to work for her, which was the 15th of February?
Correct.
And mid-April when you were fired?
There was a couple times where she had called me complaining that I was not taking care of her children right, that I wasn't giving them enough attention, I wasn't feeding them correct.
What happened in April?
I had to go and pick up my nephew from preschool, and I had told her on Monday I had to get him on Friday. And I took the children with me, and I had the baby and my son in a car seat, and I had the 5-year-old in the front seat with a seatbelt. When we got there, I went inside and grabbed my nephew.
That's not where you would normally put the 5-year-old, is that right?
No, I put her in the front seat just like her mom does.
There's no airbags in my car.
Go ahead.
When I got to the preschool, my son was sleeping, and the night before I had taken him to the emergency room. And I didn't get home until midnight, and my son did not sleep the rest of the night. So since he was sleeping, I didn't want to disturb him because it was the first time he had gotten to sleep. I knew I just had to go into the door, grab my nephew, and come right back out. So I didn't see any harm in leaving the 5-year-old with the 2 children, since he was sleeping, running in and coming right back. I was gone maybe 1 to 2 minutes. That was it. Actually, the night before, when I went to the emergency room, I had asked her to if she could find somebody else to watch her children because my son was so sick. She told me she would try to get her aunt.
Just a minute. We're going back. You left the 3 children in the car,
Correct.
and I assume you locked the car.
Yes.
Where do you live?
Kingman, Arizona.
What was the temperature in April?
It was probably like 80, 85 at the time.
Did you leave the car on or off?
I left it off with the windows rolled down.
With the windows rolled down?
The windows were up.
Just a second. So anybody could have come in the car in that minute or two?
There were people outside, and I had asked one of the teachers to watch the car.
How old was your nephew that you were picking up?
4.
Where did you put your nephew in the car?
In the back seat.
Strapped in?
Yes.
Why didn't you put her 5-year-old there?
Because I let her be in the front seat so she could see everything, and I figured since I was
She can't
watching
see
her,
a thing. She's 5 years old. She can't see over that. All she's looking at is the dashboard.
my nephew likes to be in the back seat with his cousin. That's why I put him back there. I always put him back there.
Have you picked your nephew up from school before with the children?
Yes,
With or without her permission?
with.
Is that right?
Before, not this time. Yes, this time was without my permission. I told her not to leave.
That's not true.
Okay. What time did you get home with the children?
Noon.
Go ahead.
When I got back to the house, my son had gotten a higher temperature. I called Chastity at work to find out about, calling her aunt to be there. She told me that she couldn't call because she was too busy, that when her husband got home, that I could have him call the aunt to see if the aunt could come. When he did come home, probably about 10 minutes after I called her, when he got out of the car, he started cussing, saying that he shouldn't have even came home.
So what did you do?
He told me to go ahead and leave. When I returned home, after being at the doctor's all day, my girlfriend was there because she comes over every day from when her husband works. When she called my girlfriend, she started cussing and saying I was a bad mother, that I was neglectful, and that I shouldn't have been able to babysit her
Okay.
children.
Did she speak to you?
I called her back. She told me that I neglected the children, that she was going to file a police report on me if I filed a small claims on her. She said that I shouldn't be allowed to watch children because I was unstable. Then she told me that she didn't want me to watch her kids again, and I told her fine.
Had you been paid for that week?
No, she did not pay me for that week.
And how many hours did you work that week?
I worked Monday,
Tuesday,
Tuesday,
Wednesday.
Wednesday, and Thursday.
You didn't work Thursday?
Half day.
Not even a half day. $27 a day?
Correct.
$81 for the 3 days.
Correct.
So what are you suing her for $415.98 for?
For the 2-week notice that we verbally agreed to, and she's got some of my belongings.
Now, what belongings do you claim she has?
She has a black sweater that I had left that day.
Do you have a black sweater of hers?
Not a black sweater. I have a stuffed animal dog of hers. I have
And
a
what
box of baby cereal and a little thing of juice. That's all I have
And a
at my
can of
house.
formula.
Oh, come on. You're talking about nonsense, Miss McCumber.
When it's $20 a can.
Wick pays for it, though, so.
Just a second. You have those things? You have some
Yes,
formula?
I do.
Fine. Put them in a shopping bag, and we'll make arrangements for those things to come
Okay.
back to her. All right. You want to tell me your version of the
Yeah,
events
please.
that happened, and I assume you want to tell me something of your counterclaim.
Yes. Charity did watch my children for 2.5 months. Within that time, we had a couple problems. I asked her to feed my kids nutritionally. I didn't want them fed hot dogs or Pop-Tarts every single day, and that was one of the problems.
No, it wasn't.
And
Don't interrupt her. She didn't interrupt you.
the reason I knew this is there was a couple occasions where I would always ask, how did the kids eat today? What did they eat? And she would tell me, oh, they had a cheese sandwich and applesauce. Well,
Well, Miss Newby,
the applesauce jar wasn't even open, so she would lie about what she fed them.
Let me tell you this. Finding proper child care for working parents is a very difficult thing, and sometimes you blink and turn the other way if things aren't 100% perfect. But I would assume, Ms. Newby, that if you felt as if she was really neglecting your children, you wouldn't have allowed her to watch your children for 2.5 months.
She had promised and said she would do better, that she wouldn't lie anymore, that she would take better care of the children, she would take my kids outside. And as far as her leaving with my kids in the car, that was another problem. She had gone 2 other times with my permission. She had called me at work, told me it was an emergency. I said, okay. Then I talked to her about it, and I told her I did not want it to happen again.
So you didn't give her permission?
She called me at work. She asked me, which she had already taken them, and I told her no. And when I got home, first my husband told me, you know, she brought the little boy over again today. She took him, and then my daughter told me they had been left in the car with the windows rolled up and the doors locked.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Charity McCumber says former client Chastity Newby owes her for babysitting fees and the return of personal belongings.
Go ahead.
My youngest daughter all week had a bad diaper rash, and every night I would come home and...
All week? You mean the last week?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay.
And I would come home, and by the next morning, I would have it just about gone, and then the next day I would come home, and it was back terribly, bleeding bad. She didn't have permission to take my children. She shouldn't have done it. She asked me. I told her, no, you don't leave children in a car under any circumstances.
Absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Not even for a minute. Not for a minute or two, and it takes more than a minute or two to go in, sign a child out of daycare. Even if it takes 3 or 4 minutes, you don't leave 3 children in a car in 85-degree weather, locked in a car. Not for a minute. But you have a counterclaim. You want to tell me about the counterclaim you have?
My youngest daughter was severely dehydrated. I took her to the doctor Friday, and we tried to bring her back home and get her hydrated at home, which we couldn't do. She was back in the emergency room Saturday being IV'd. She ended up being admitted, and she stayed 3 nights, I believe, for dehydration. And I believe most of it was Charity's care.
It may be, but you understand for a counterclaim such as yours, you need some medical proof of that.
Mm-hmm.
The circumstance of her having been in the plaintiff's care and then being hospitalized doesn't necessarily make a case for a counterclaim. You understand that? Okay. So I'm going to have to dismiss your counterclaim, but I'm going to get to your claim. Ms. McCumber, I find that even if there was an agreement to give you 2 weeks' notice, you breached your contract of care for the defendant's 2 children when you took them without her permission. And even if you had her permission, if you took them on an errand and even for 30 seconds locked them in a car, never, you will never, if they have this information, get a daycare license, because that is such poor judgment to leave a 5-year-old in a car watching 2 infants in a locked car. There is never an emergency that would permit that. And you did it because you didn't want to disturb your baby.
Correct.
Because, well, that's outrageous. That's outrageous. You had an obligation to disturb your baby's sleep, to take all 3 children out of the car, go into the daycare center, pick up your nephew if it was an emergency, come back and hope that your son fell back to sleep. But because you didn't want to inconvenience or disturb your son's sleep, you placed all 3 children at risk. So even if there was an agreement for 2 weeks' notice, I found that you breached your agreement to provide adequate care for the children. However, you have to pay her for the 3 days that she worked for you. Because if you were dissatisfied with her care of the children, and if you felt Monday that your daughter had a diaper rash, and you let her take care of your children on Tuesday, and the diaper rash came back and it was even more aggravated, and then Wednesday you let her do it again, that's poor judgment on your part.
Right.
Right? Sometimes necessity forces you to do that. But that's poor judgment on your part. That doesn't negate the fact that she performed a service for you for 3 days. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and you owe her $81, judgment for the plaintiff.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I tried to quit before, and you begged me.
She wouldn't let her. She
No.
begged her to
So,
come back.
Yep.
She didn't take care of them. She didn't feed them. She left them in a car on an 85-degree day. That's neglect.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Ball versus Ball. Step forward, please.
36-year-old tanning salon owner Wanda Ball is suing her ex-husband, 40-year-old carpenter Gary Ball, for the cost of storing his belongings while he was in prison.
according to your complaint, your former husband was incarcerated for a period of time. While he was incarcerated, you paid for a storage unit for some of his property. And when he was released from jail, he refuses to pay you for the stuff that you were storing.
Correct.
What were the storage fees?
The total was $790.
And tell me how it came about that you started to pay for this storage unit.
When he was incarcerated, he had asked my son to take care of his storage, which had a bunch of his tools in it. What had happened is my son was with him when the police pulled Gary over, and they arrested Gary and took him to jail. My son is the one who had the key to the storage unit that Gary had gave to him.
Could you come up here for a moment? Tell me your name.
Keith Ball,
Keith, how old are you?
14.
Do you remember having a conversation with your dad about the things that he had in storage?
Yes, ma'am.
What did he tell you?
Just keep the storage for him, and that's all we have.
Did he give you the key?
Yeah.
When did he give you the key, Keith?
Before he went to the car.
Before he went to the police car?
Yeah.
Have a seat, Keith. Very good. All right. What was the next thing that you did?
The next thing that I did is I contacted his family. His family said that they were not going to pay for it. They were just going to let him lose $10,000 worth of his equipment that was in the storage unit.
Go ahead.
When he went to jail, he had made a collect call, and he contacted me and told me what was going on. I knew he was going to be sent away to prison for a year. Gary asked me to pay for the storage unit.
Okay.
Okay.
Now I'm ready for you.
Okay. Well, I'm a self-employed carpenter. Well, right now I'm working in a trailer factory. Me and Juana's been divorced for 12 years, but we actually have lived together 4 or 5 or 6 years in between then. I've been to prison before in '96 for a year, and she took care of my
Wow.
stuff for criminal mischief. She took
Right.
care of my stuff, and she gave my stuff back to me when I got out. And after that, we even got back together for a year or two.
All right, let's talk about this date, sir. You picked up in February of 2000. Your son's in the car with you. Were you picked up for a parole violation?
Probation.
Probation violation.
Right.
And what was the original charge?
A battery.
That's more than criminal mischief.
That's '96 was the criminal mischief.
Did you hand your son the key to the storage unit?
Yes, I did.
What did you say to your son?
To take care of this is our inheritance, this is our investment, that I'm going to be going to prison.
Well, you knew your son didn't have any money, right?
Right.
So you expected the plaintiff to pay for the storage unit.
Actually, we had talked on the phone, and we talked about selling the stuff.
Yes?
And
Is that what you wanted
she
her
could
to
give
do?
me much as money she wanted to, and she could keep the... that's what I asked her to do at first, to sell it.
Just a second. So at first you asked her to sell all your tools.
Right.
Well, that wouldn't give you a way of earning a living.
Right, but it would actually maybe give me a lawyer and make my sentence a little less.
Did you change your mind about selling your stuff?
Actually, I was glad she did, because actually I make more money with this equipment than I do working inside the factory.
So you've been out of prison now for 6 months,
Right.
and you make more money now.
Actually, I'm still in the trailer factory because my parole officer wants me to stay inside the factory, and she wants me to stay inside the factory because of the insurance, and she makes sure she gets a check every week for support.
You mean you work and you pay for child support?
Right.
Sounds right. Where are your tools now?
My tools are...
Now look at me. Where are your tools now?
My tools are in my sister's garage.
Why weren't they in your sister's garage before?
I asked them plenty of times to get with my brother and my sisters to get my tools out of there before they double locked it. Matter of fact, when I got out, it was double locked. She gave me the money to get the double lock off so that I could get my
How
tools
much
out of
did
it.
she give you?
$190, and I did give that $190 back to her.
Your Honor, he is lying. He never gave me $190.
All right, Mr. Ball, one must only assume that you paid for the storage unit because your sister's garage was not available at the time. Otherwise, somebody who's earning a moderate amount of money doesn't pay for a storage unit. So you intended to keep your stuff in the storage unit and use it as necessary. Is that a fair statement?
Right.
And the fact that you went to jail and she was very nice and paid for the storage unit for you while you were in jail because at 8 cents an hour you weren't going to be able to pay for it yourself, why should she be stuck behind the 8 ball for $790?
Well, actually, she really took care of something that's going to help her out. I do maintenance on her salons. I do maintenance on her rental properties.
Charge her.
Well,
He does
that's
not.
what
Shh, just a minute, charge her.
that's what will happen.
Charge her. If she thinks your prices are too steep, she'll get somebody else to do it.
Right.
Very nice. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $790.
Thank you.
That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
19-year-old student Joel Termont and his roommate, 20-year-old Chris Bilsbach, for damages to her property. Chris is countersuing, claiming Sherry's negligence led to his car catching on fire.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 123 on the calendar in the matter of Gregory versus Bilsbach Termont. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Gregory, according to your complaint, you owned some real estate that was rental property. You rented it to the two defendants and claimed that during the course of their tenancy, they trashed your property. They say they did nothing to your property but normal wear and tear, that they had some parties there that you were aware of, and they are counterclaiming. They say that during a snowstorm, you failed to plow the driveway, which caused their car to catch on fire. When did this lease begin?
The 1st of August in 2000.
How long was the lease?
It was a month-to-month affair because this is a property that I was trying to
So
sell.
you didn't have a written lease?
Yes, I do have a
Can I
written
see
lease.
it, please? Okay, so they rented the property on August 1st. When did you first see any damage to the property?
Well, I was getting complaints from neighbors, so
What was the date?
probably in October. It became obvious that they were having parties there and so forth.
Okay, when was the next time you were alerted that there may be any problem with the property?
Well, as the snow left and I could see that the land was fairly well destroyed all around the place from four-wheeling and so forth, but the final blow, I guess, came when the neighbors were complaining to the point where they were telling me I had to get rid of them. And that's when I went out in the first part of April, you know, discovered
I
the...
see some pictures there.
Yes.
So let me see the photographs.
Now, I should have sorted through. They're not all wonderful.
Is this a trailer?
It's a mobile home that has been built onto, and it's about 2,000 square foot.
Were these holes in the wall or anything else there when you rented it to them?
No, we were having some leakage with the roof, and they said that they could take care of that if I would buy the materials, which I did, and I have my receipts for that.
What I'm asking you, madam, is I'm going to show you some pictures. What I'd like you to do is take a look at these photographs and tell me whether this is the way the property looked when you rented it to them.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
No.
Would you show this to these two people? What is that?
That's a wall that's falling down.
No, it isn't. It's not a wall that's falling down. You want to explain that to me?
There were holes in the wall that were caused by parties that we had out there.
Okay, period. Good.
That's our refrigerator, Your Honor.
Is that the way it was when you got it?
That was our refrigerator when we moved in.
Oh, good. So I don't have to look at the refrigerator. Perfect. They bought the refrigerator, right? Madam?
That doesn't ring a bell with me.
Well, if it doesn't ring a bell with you, they say that they bought the refrigerator.
There.
I trust that they bought the
There
refrigerator.
were two refrigerators there. I'm sorry.
Same party?
Yes.
You got some nerve. What's wrong with you? Huh? What is wrong with you?
Well, in the beginning, when we rented the property, Sherry told us our deposit wasn't for the trailer. She didn't care about the trailer. She said, trash it or fix it. Those were her exact words. She don't care. Trash it or fix it. It's up to you. We fixed it in the first place. The roof got so bad
The house was totally unlivable. There was no hot water, no furnace.
So
We lived
move.
with-
So
That's what we
move.
did.
You weren't being held a prisoner.
Also, before we
You just, I'm not finished with you. If the trailer is not habitable because there's no heat, no hot water, you have the ability to get out of this lease, right?
Correct.
You don't do this to somebody else's property. Nobody says trash it. Nobody normal. She's not abnormal.
Those were her words.
Those were her
Trash it or
words.
fix it.
Bull. Not common sense, unless somebody
No,
is
it's
on
not.
heavy doses of something. And if you live in a place, and assuming that she was having a mental lapse and said that to you, you still don't do this.
Your
So you
Honor,
have to pay for all the damage.
maybe half the reason why she didn't care that we trashed it is she told me once that she had that trailer insured at over $30,000. It'd make a nice insurance claim. And that trailer is appraised at a little over $3,000 for the whole trailer. The roof damage is well exceeds the $3,000 to have that roof repaired. So basically, the trailer's worth nothing. And
Why
she
didn't
has
you
it
just live
insured.
there peacefully? I mean, what joy does somebody get in causing this kind of damage? What joy?
Teenage kids. When we moved in,
If
Your
you're,
Honor,
just a second, did you move from your family's house into this property?
yes, Your Honor.
Did you do this to your parents' house?
No, Your Honor.
Then you know better. It's not as if you weren't housebroken. You were, in fact, housebroken.
When we moved in, Your Honor, the previous tenant had been convicted of trafficking meth, and the FBI had just done a raid on that exact trailer when we moved in. The place was completely unlivable. We spent over 40 hours fixing it up. We
And what did you have to do?
We had to pick up heroin needles, motorcycles in our living room, our kitchen,
What did you do
about
with
10
them?
of them.
What did you do with them?
We had the salvage yard come pick them up.
Did you sell them to the salvage yard?
No.
You just gave them away?
Yes. They were not worth anything. They were torn into parts. Sherry told us to get rid of them. Yeah, she told us that it was our responsibility to clean up the trailer. In the lease it
So
says...
it says that you clean up the trailer. She's selling it as is. So far, I don't hear about anything like this.
Well,
I
when
heard you
we
get
moved
rid of a
in-
lot of junk inside.
The roof was always leaking when we moved in, and we never said it was no problem that we could fix it because the roof was in bad condition when we moved in. She had already had a professional contractor come out there and do the exact same thing that she bought us materials for. And the roof still was leaking, and there was no way we could get it repaired
Why would you fix the roof and do this to the walls?
because the roof was completely collapsing. When we first moved in, we tried as hard as we could to put up the roofing materials, but it didn't stop it. And that whole, there's 3 sections of the trailer. That third
if
section...
you notice that I didn't show you any pictures of the collapsing where there looks like there were leaks coming in. She's got them here. I didn't show you those. Because if you were renting a place and had a leaky roof, I don't hold you responsible for that at all. This I hold you responsible for. This doesn't come from a leaky roof.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sherry Gregory says former tenants Joel Termott and Chris Bilsbach trashed her property. Joel and Chris say Sherry is a con artist.
According to you, you were just following instructions, right?
Not necessarily following instructions, but knowing in the... You put 3 kids under the age of 19 in a house on a farm. You know what they're going to do, and you tell them they can trash it or fix it. When we moved out
As a landlord, would any landlord do that and not expect this to happen?
When we moved out there, we told her...
May I please see the estimates of your damage?
Your Honor, I have one statement here from the insurance company, which has paid a portion of that, okay?
I want to see the estimates of the damage that were not paid by your insurance.
That's this document.
Let me see what she's got for me. No, listen. First of all, strike out roof leaks, water damage. That was a problem that existed before they moved in, and it's your responsibility to take care of it. Carpet throughout. I can't tell what damage they caused and what damage your previous tenant caused because it seems to me that you did not examine that property before they moved in.
I did.
No, because I believe them when they said that they found needles in there, motorcycle parts in the trailer, and all that other kind of stuff that you told them to get rid of. Because in your lease it says that they take the property exactly as it's turned over to them. And I believe them because they were at least honest enough to say to me, I caused this, it was parties. And that's what happens when you rent to teenagers. I mean, that's pretty honest and damning. So I believe that there was a lot of junk in that place when they moved in. So how do I know when the damage was done to the carpet?
The carpet thing, the main carpet damage that I was talking about there was just where the roof had leaked and made
Oh, strike that. That's your
I don't-
responsibility.
I'm not talking about carpet throughout.
Outside debris cleanup. Do you have a bill for that?
I've got a man out there working now. It's just way too short a time to get a total estimate on it. And with
Well,
the
I
grass
can't help-
growing tall,
I can't help you unless I have a bill. This is you.
right.
I need bills.
Your Honor, could I add one thing?
Yes.
She claims that she gave us our eviction notice on the 1st of April. We received our eviction notice on the 20th of April, which she had dated the 1st. So
Okay.
we'd only have 10 days, 11 days to get out, which was a totally false statement on the eviction notice. We were out within the week, within 7 days. We came out there within the last day before the end of the month, and there was someone already living out there, cleaning up, doing work out there, re-drywalling, stuff like that. This is all stuff that I'm sure she's not paying him. I'm sure he's
I don't
living
know
there,
whether
he's
she
fixing
is
it
or
up.
not,
She's
but I don't
telling
have
him
a
the
bill.
same exact thing that she told us when we moved in there.
Just a minute.
Fix it?
Doesn't make what you did to the property right.
No.
Okay.
But she's got someone living there while we were still paying rent, where we were still supposed to be living there. She's got someone there just because she knew we were out.
Who's living there now?
The person he's talking about did not have permission to be there at that time. I didn't know that person was there. He was someone that was wanting to rent it because when I called and...
Is he still there?
2 different people.
Who's living there?
Mark,
When did Mark move in?
the 10th or 11th of May.
That's not correct, Your Honor. We went back before the 1st of May, and I went in my room to get some stuff that I still had there, and there was like 3 snakes and a bunch of hamsters living in my bedroom, and that was before the 1st of May.
All right. Interior debris cleanup. Yeah, you're going to pay for that, boys.
We came
But
back.
I'm allocating $200 to clean it up. Now,
We had till the 1st. We went out there the 28th to clean up that weekend.
why didn't you clean up before you moved out?
We moved all our personal stuff out. We
Why
went
didn't
back
you
to
clean up before you moved out?
This is 7 days after we got the eviction notice. We were out. We went back to clean up on the 7th day. Someone else was already living there.
Okay. Approximately 3 acres. Seeding? You have a bill for that?
My farmer tenant out there will do that work. He has never presented me with his...
Then I can't help you, Miss Gregory. I need bills. How do I know whether it costs $3,000 to reseed 3 acres? How do I know that? All I know is that you can go and you can rent a spreader for $20, and for another $50, you can buy a whole bunch of seed. Is that right?
I'm not a farmer.
Your Honor,
Well, I know. I mean, I know a little bit about that, and if you want to, then you spread it. And you spread it, and grass grows. You have $3,000.
Your Honor.
Ms. Gregory, it's ridiculous. I mean, do you want me to dismiss this case without prejudice? Go and get bills?
Yeah.
Go and get estimates? I'm
May
not
I?
going to do anything.
may I say?
Sure.
This is land that is not just needs seeding, it needs completely smoothed out because of all the ruts and everything from the four-wheeling and driving on areas that never should have been driven on.
Well, Ms. Gregory, you have your choice, madam. Do you want me to dismiss your case without prejudice? You can refile it at some later point when you get the estimates for these things. Or do you want me to continue? If I continue, I have no idea what I'm going to come up with. So far, I got $200 because that's what it looks like it would cost anybody to spend 4 hours in cleaning up the mess that they left inside. That's it. What do you want to do? You need proof when you come to court. This is not proof. A prepared statement is not proof of damage.
Well, I asked for this from both the tenant farmer that will do the work on the land and from the guy that is doing the repairs on the house. And he didn't submit that to me. He said, Sherry, the minimum it's going to take on that roof and the water damage part is $2,500.
We didn't cause the roof and water damage, Your Honor.
I struck out the water damage because that was a problem before they moved in.
It was supposed to have been repaired by them. I bought
Listen,
them materials to take care of
That's
it.
your problem. Tenants don't do that. And if you rented the property to 2 teenagers and you tell them that the roof leaks, I'm going to buy you material and fix it, and if you have a real interest in your property, then what you do is you go back 3 weeks later and check your property and see if it's been done properly. What do you mean,
No, I mean,
Give me
it's
a break.
something I
How much
can't...
did you get from the insurance company?
Here,
Just tell me how much you got from the insurance company.
$12,329.31.
Shh, quiet. for all the damage?
For the things that they had listed.
Your Honor, I have a copy from the county assessor appraising the trailer that she got insurance money for.
She got $12,000 from the insurance company. She can take care of the property from that. I just finished plaintiff's case. Let's get to your nonsense. She didn't plow the driveway? Huh?
She told, we live in the middle of the country. The driveway has a very big incline.
Yeah.
Because of that, it's hard to get up when there's a big snow, and the fact that it drifts twice as high as much snowfall as you have.
So?
She told us, we were telling her we had problems getting up the driveway. She's like, well, I'll have the farmer or a neighbor come plow the driveway. Never seen it. Never came around.
No. She said have the farmer or the neighbor plow the driveway.
Yeah, someone that she knew that had a plow would come out and
No,
clean our
that's
driveway.
not what you just said. You just said to me, she said to you, have the farmer or the neighbor plow the driveway.
Yes, her as the landlord was going to take care of it. It was her
No,
responsibility.
did she say that?
Yes.
No. I don't believe she said that. She said have one of your neighbors take care of that.
No, she didn't tell us to have it done.
Really?
She said she was going to have it done.
When did she tell you that?
We don't know the farmer. We don't know the neighbors. The
Oh,
neighbors
they don't
are-
want to know you. I got
The
news for
neighbors
you.
she's talking about, she has sold part of this 80 acres too.
Okay. And when was the first time that you had a problem with snow?
We had,
Give me the date. First date you had a problem with snow.
well, in Nebraska it snows from November till
So the first problem you had was in November?
Correct.
probably more like October.
So the first problem that you had was in October and you couldn't get your car out?
The thing is it wasn't the fact that I got it stuck. It was the fact I left it at the house and rode to work with him, or rode to school with him, because he had a four-wheel drive. I knew I wouldn't make it out.
Tell me whose car exploded.
That was mine, Your Honor.
Well, how did that happen?
Fire department says it caught on fire.
Don't tell me what the fire department says.
It caught on
That's
fire because
hearsay.
it got stuck
Where did it get stuck?
in the driveway.
Yes, and you tried to start it? I mean, it didn't...
It was
didn't
running when I got stuck.
Spontaneous combustion. It didn't just explode because it wasn't
No,
like
it caught on
sitting...
fire. The tires caught the engine on fire.
Yes, because you kept trying to move it. I assume you were trying to move it.
Well, as soon as it got stuck, yes, I tried getting out. I didn't try and get out for, 10 minutes. I tried to get out, 30 seconds. I knew I was stuck. I mean, it was buried. The car was completely not going anywhere. I turned it off, walked up to the house in -30-degree weather, went up to the house, and I couldn't see the car from the driveway. The car burned up. The fire department called me, said, your car's on fire.
Oh, okay. So what do you want from me? What do you want from her?
Well, it's a countersuit. She said, and as a landlord, she was going to take care of having the driveway plowed.
And if she didn't take care of
She
it
told me
starting...
she was
Listen,
gonna-
hey, listen to me carefully. When did your car catch on fire? What month?
December.
December. If she told you initially, and you say it starts to snow in October in Nebraska, that she was going to plow, and she didn't plow, you know what you do? Move! October, move November, move December. You're not a prisoner there. You don't like the leaks, you move. You don't like the heat, you move. You don't trash it. You don't blame her for anything. You get out. So, you got $12,000 from the insurance company? Good. You have no case because you have no proof of any additional damage. You have no case. Period. Driveway wasn't plowed. You don't want to get out a shovel and plow your car. You drive with him. He couldn't move his car. Move. Don't rent to teenagers anymore. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 516 on the calendar in the matter of Thomas versus Jackson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Ms. Thomas, it is your claim that the defendant's son broke your son's nose.
Correct.
You want to tell me what happened?
Well, I was walking down the street because my friends said they were going to play football that day. None of them were out there. And then Tyra and Jatisse, the two girls that were like friends that lived down the street, and they were yelling out the window. And I didn't understand what they're saying. I was like, well, I'm gonna go home. Then Joe started coming to me, and he was like, what's up, what's up? And then he hit me in my nose. And then I said, I don't want to fight you, and then he hit me in my nose, and it started to bleed.
So were you alone at the time he came up to you?
Yes.
Okay, now let's come to you, Ms. Thomas. How did you find out about your son's nose?
Well, the young lady, Tyra, is one of the girls that was with him, came running up to my...
I thought you said you were alone.
But they were coming out the door at the time. So as he walked up to me, they were coming out the door.
So one of the girls came to your house?
Yes, and she came running up to the door saying, hurry, hurry, Austin's bleeding, he needs you down the street. So I went running down there, and I saw him with his head back like this. There was blood everywhere, all over his clothes, on the ground. And I ripped off my tank top and put it to his face, and I asked him, do you know who did this to you? And they said, it's Joe, and he's right around the corner playing basketball. I said, take me to him. Take me to him right now. And I said, so you're the one who broke my son's nose. And he said, I ain't got time for your drama, B. And started going off on me. Like I was bothering his game of basketball when he just broke my son's nose. I said, so what, you just are going to break my son's nose and act like it's nothing? He's like, you. You know, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to stand out here and argue with a bunch of kids. So I went home, I picked up the phone, I called 911. The cops came out, took him home to his cousin. I had him delivered in a cop car.
Now I'll hear from you.
At first, I was walking home from school, and then my best friend asked me did I want to play basketball. So we was over his house playing basketball. His sister Tyra told him that some little boy around the corner was messing with her. So we went around the corner, and as we was about to fight him, I stepped in the middle and I told him not to hit him. Then he was talking stuff, and he called
Who's he was talking stuff?
It's Austin.
Did you know him from before?
No, never seen this.
So what kind of stuff was he talking?
He was like, I'm not scared of him, I'm not scared of him. And then he called me a B, and then I just took off my jacket and I hit him twice.
Do you think that's okay?
If I felt like if I wouldn't have hit him, then he would have hit me.
But he didn't hit you.
I felt like he was about to.
What made you think he was about to hit you?
Because the way he looked at me.
The way he looked at you.
The way he looked at me.
Now, after you hit him twice in the nose, you went back to play basketball.
Yes.
And then his mother came up to you. She just told me that you cursed at her.
No.
Oh, yes, you did.
Well, she was cussing at me. She actually threatened me.
Well, how did she threaten you?
She said she would get a 15 or 16-year-old on me, and she said she'll kill me. That's when she stepped down the street like she was going to hit me, but my best friend, he stepped in front of me and told her to go on because she's not hitting me.
You have a police report?
Yes, I do.
Were you arrested?
Well, taken home, yeah.
After you were taken home, did you have to appear in juvenile court?
No.
Why didn't you press charges against him?
I did press charges, Your Honor, but they were telling me even if I filed him and received a misdemeanor on him for the assault charges, the only pain and suffering or anything that I could get was $300.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about teaching him a lesson. How many times have you been in a police car?
Just twice.
When before that were you in a police car?
Some little kids was busting windows, and they mistakenly put me in the police car on accident, and it wasn't me.
It wasn't you?
No.
Let me see your bills.
Your Honor, can I say something?
Yes.
You know, and also when Austin had, after he had broke his nose, he told my son, he said to everybody in the neighborhood, he kept saying, well, that's what the white boy gets. That's what the white boy gets, you know. And my son, granted, he is light-skinned, but I don't care what shade you are, you know what I mean? This isn't about what color you are. It's about violating my child.
Absolutely right.
So that was another thing, because they think he's a white boy, and he's not just a white boy.
No, he's a boy.
Right, exactly.
He's a boy. What?
I don't feel like it's a racial thing here because my son is not racist, not at all.
He may not be, but he certainly has a little bit of a violent tendency.
I mean, that's all kids is like that. When you're
all kids aren't like
this
that.
he was.
All kids aren't
he
like
was
that.
cursing too.
Cursing
So-
is one thing. Listen to me.
Uh-huh.
Your son went up to him, came around the corner, came up to him, and hit him in the face because he didn't like the way he looked at him, according to him.
No.
He looked as if he might be going to hit him, so he hit him first, twice. But he went looking for him. He came around the corner, and before he even found out what was going on, I mean, I read his answer. His answer was he was protecting some little girl that he thought he was teasing. He was in a confrontation with another friend. That's a lot of baloney. He came around the corner, and he hit him twice. And he's responsible. He's responsible for his broken nose. He's responsible for all the medical bills, and he's responsible for pain and suffering. He's responsible for that.
I understand that.
What? You want to say something, sir?
Yes. Your Honor, when I received a phone call from my wife that the incident had taken place, I rushed home. During the time that my wife was filing a report, she had noticed that two of the young men that were at the scene were walking by snickering. And so I asked him to come here, and I asked him, I said, you know what, I want to know which one of you two were the one calling my wife out of her name. And they began to tell me that Joe is one of the kids in the neighborhood that he thinks he has to go for bad or whatnot. He has to prove something to himself, and that the girls that he accuses my son of making fun of, we have written testimonies from the young ladies. They warned Austin to run because they knew that Joe was going to go up to him and fight him for no reason at all. I asked the police officer to make sure his mother calls us. She wanted to know what happened, and she explained to me that, you know, it doesn't surprise her that her son, you know, might have did this, but she wanted to hear both. She wanted to hear both sides of the story. She is well aware that Joe is one way with her and another way out in the neighborhood, and she can't understand why he acts that way because her other children, her other young boys, don't act that way.
His neighbor, 12-year-old Joel Jackson, punched him in the face and broke his nose. Joel says he thought Austin was going to hit him first.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, I spoke to her one time as Austin's mother. She informed me that she wants to hurry up and get the court situation over with. And I just hung up on her. I flat out hung up on her. You know, how are you going to call me and tell me that we need to hurry up and get this over with? Well, so would I, but I have to go to an ENT for my son's nose. His nose has to be broke now 2 times because he has a lump coming out of the side of his nose. You know, hello, this doesn't end for me just because I go to court.
So you have to do additional medical procedures other than the $2,059 that you've already spent.
Yes, it's $85 just for us to show our face into the ENT clinic.
Could you step up, please? I want to take a look at your nose. Where is it broken?
It's broke right down here, right in here.
You have any medical report in your file?
Yes, I do.
Can I see you step back to your folks, please? Do you have any other report with regard to the procedure for re-breaking his nose and resetting it?
I asked them what it will cost for Austin's nose. They said every nose varies. Some noses run $1,000, some runs $500. They just don't know until they see it.
Well, right now you have about $2,100 in out-of-pocket expenses just for his medical visits.
Yes, and I have no insurance because my husband got a better paying job, and his insurance doesn't even kick in for 90 days. So this is, every time I've went, it's self-pay, self-pay. I mean, we work for a living.
Yes, we do.
Well, I'm glad that you're working.
I agree with that.
I'm glad that you're working. She's not going to have any of these expenses out of pocket. You had no right to hit him. Don't look up at the sky. You're just very, very lucky that they didn't pursue this matter in juvenile court because they probably wouldn't have put you away. But you would have had a record. How old are you?
12.
12. So you would have had a record at age 12. That's not very smart. How many brothers do you have?
2.
They ever been in jail?
No.
They nice boys?
Yes.
Good. So you have good examples at home. What happened to you?
Nothing.
Ever been suspended for fighting in school?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. How did I know that? How do you think I knew that?
I don't know.
Wasn't that a good question? Look, I'm only giving you your medical bills up until today, plus some additional costs that you incurred. But you may have to bring an additional suit once you have additional medical costs, because I can't anticipate what those medical bills are going to be. Do you understand?
Yes.
So I'm issuing a judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. It covers your bills until today.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't appreciate her cussing out my son the way she did.
When you see your child bleeding on a street and he's left there and you're just going to protect your child, I would say that sometimes you say things that just is not of you, but out of, you know, frustration and anger.
And now the next case.
All parties on Zavala versus Johnson. Step forward, please.
20-year-old salesperson Brooklyn Zavala is suing her sister-in-law, 23-year-old restaurant manager Tiana Johnson, for babysitting fees and damage to her vehicle.
Mrs. Zavala, the defendant is your sister-in-law.
Yes.
According to your complaint, you provided daycare services for your sister-in-law's children.
Yes.
Then she decided to move. You did provide childcare for a few days, for which you were not paid.
Correct.
And then on the day that your sister-in-law was moving, it is your claim that she damaged a car of yours.
True.
What was your arrangement with regard to the child care?
I was to get paid $2.37 per hour.
How did you come
per
to that
child.
figure?
Because that's what the state was allowing her to get. I was just to get the whole check from the Health and Welfare Office. I got a check for May, June, and July. And then in August, I watched them for 5 days.
Which 5 days in August?
2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Ms. Johnson, did you get a check from the state for those dates in August?
No, I did not.
Why?
Because they were taking me off that program at that time because I was moving.
She was supposed to get a check. I have record right here that it got sent back to Health and Welfare.
Let me see.
From her caseworker.
My caseworker told me that I was not getting a check for that month.
So it was returned.
Right.
So she did not, you're not claiming that she got the money and just didn't give it to you.
Right, I just didn't get paid.
Well, she's not going to pay you. You have to get your money from the state. That was your agreement.
They only pay a portion on that, so she would also have to pay on top of that.
Why? That wasn't your agreement.
Because
that wasn't your agreement, Ms. Zavala.
True.
Your agreement was that whatever money she received from the state, you would get.
Right.
And you never got any additional monies in the months that you did watch the children.
True.
Right? So why would you expect additional monies in August?
I estimated it from $2.37 for each child per hour.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
I do.
I don't know what we're fighting about here for 5 days worth of daycare. If two people who are related to each other, except maybe the fight's about this damaged truck. So you want to tell me about the damaged truck?
Well, the morning of the 8th of August, we got a phone call saying we needed to come to Tiana's. Tiana had something to tell us. We were told she was leaving town because she was scared to death if her husband was going to kill her, which is her witness right now.
Go ahead.
Her brother and her also got in an argument, and because he was telling her that she shouldn't pick up and leave like that with 3 children.
Who should she leave the children with?
We were going to offer, or Sean and Christine, and then Delano and Amanda, which was also her brother and sister-in-law.
Okay. What happened when she left?
Well, we helped her pack, and a couple hours later, she just was leaving, wasn't watching where she was going, and backed into my car. She said sorry, didn't even get out of her van, and then left.
She was upset, I assume, right?
No, she was fine by then because we were just packing up and leaving. She was in a hurry to leave.
Why do you think she was in a hurry?
Because she had to meet with a couple people in Oregon that she was going with.
She said she had to leave because she was deathly afraid of her husband. You don't think that picking up and leaving and packing up very quickly and leaving with your 3 children, you're upset? I mean, I'm not giving...
That happened a month or 2 prior to her leaving. She was still going up and taking the kids up to his house.
Because he's their father.
Until 2 o'clock in the morning, and she's deathly afraid of him. These are the car estimates and pictures.
I also have a Blue Book value of the car as a trade-in and as retail value.
Well, you definitely hit her car.
She was parked at an angle right in my blind spot on a cul-de-sac, which you're supposed to be parked with the curve. She was parked straight out this way. And when I was backing out, I could not see her, and I hit her like this.
Okay. $900 worth of damage.
And the Blue Book value of the car as a trade-in is $375, and the retail value is $1,400. I think that's a large amount for damage. It's almost as much as the car is worth.
So what do you think the right thing to do is?
Actually, 4 days before she filed this suit, I had told my brother that I was going to give them some money. And she has not tried to contact me, tried to resolve anything, to even try to work out a payment or anything.
Well, what is everybody so mad about?
I think she's mad because I left and she was out of a job.
No, because I went and got a job 2 weeks later.
All I heard that day that I was leaving was, what about the check? What about the check? No, you know, I'm going to miss you or anything. It was all about the check, the money.
Wrong, because I was trying to talk her out of going. I was scared for the kids' welfare because the van wasn't going to make it to West Virginia.
Did it make it?
No. She left it on the side of a highway with all of their belongings in it, pretty much.
No, I didn't. I got the belongings there. My children were safe. My children were back safe.
Did the van die?
The transmission went out.
How did you get to your final destination?
With the rest of the party that I was traveling with. We had 3 different cars going.
Where were you going? Just
to West Virginia.
To what?
I had some friends up there.
Who are the other people?
Supposed to stay there. Some cousins, longtime friends of the family.
Well, were they going to live too?
Mm-hmm.
You just decided to all leave at the same time to go to West Virginia to live?
Right, there was a lot of circumstances following that.
Well, just give it to me in 30 seconds or less, would you?
Okay, they were deciding to leave, so I went over there. They offered me to go with them, so I decided, yeah, I would
Where
go.
were you all going? I mean, were you going to a farmhouse someplace? Where were you going to live?
No, I have a really good friend that lives up there, and she offered for me to stay with her.
How long did you stay there?
I stayed there a matter of 2 months.
And then where did you come?
I had to come back to the state of Idaho.
Why?
For a custody hearing.
And then you reconciled with your husband?
Somewhat, yes.
What does somewhat mean?
We're working on the situation.
Do you live under the same roof?
No.
What?
Can I stand up?
Of course, if you want to speak.
Yeah, what I was told by his mother was that...
It's hearsay.
Well, even he admitted it. She came back down for that custody hearing plus a battery hearing.
Against him?
Against him, and then they were still together during that whole issue. They came back and they're still together now, from what I heard.
I guess.
And the whole thing with the car is, when she was up in West Virginia, I talked to her, said, you need to start making some payments. And that was like almost a year went by and nothing happened.
You owe them $900 to fix their car. With regard to the money for your 5 days of babysitting, I suggest that you take that up with the state.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $900. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 435 on the calendar in the matter of Beauchamp versus Rubino. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Beauchamp, according to your complaint, you and the defendant were friends. And beginning sometime in 1999, you started to make a series of small loans to the defendant. In total, you say $500. Friendship terminated, and you want your money.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant says that no time did she borrow $500 from you. She said that she only borrowed $200, but because of the stress that you put her through, she doesn't owe you anything and is counterclaiming for that stress in the amount of $500. What kind of loans, Mr. Beauchamp?
I loaned Miss Rubino a total of $500 from October through December of 1999. The first time she asked me to borrow $100 for her dog. I guess he needed some care or something, so I did loan her the $100. On the second occasion, she had a bed on layaway at a furniture store, and she was about $100 short for that. I did offer to loan her the money for that. And she had wrote a series of bad checks at a bar in Omaha, and she needed to borrow some money to cover those checks, and I did loan that to her.
How much?
The total came to about $500.
No. Not what I asked you. You say the total. This is a court, sir.
Yes.
$100 for the dog, $100 for the bed. How much was the third loan, sir?
That would have been the amount of about $120.
What else?
And then the next loan, the final loan would have been to, again, cover checks in her checking account. And
That's
that total,
not true.
Just a minute.
And that came to a total of about $500.
Mr. Beauchamp, so far you haven't established to my satisfaction that you loaned her any money. Because when somebody comes to court, they have dates. They say, on such and such a date, I made a loan in the amount of $100. 2 days later, a week later, I made a loan of another $100. Then you don't tell me it was about $120. And after that, well, all of them totaled $500. You have no clue. You should keep a record of when you lend somebody money.
I do have a letter in my possession that she had sent to me
Then let me see
in
it,
November.
sir.
Okay.
Maybe that will help me.
It's a letter written by Miss Rubino.
Ah, so you acknowledge you owed him $500.
That was before. I said that to basically get him off my back.
No.
That's
Listen to
true.
me. Listen
yes,
to me.
I did it one time. I no longer feel that way. Well, no.
This
and
was
there's
only
reasons.
a few months ago, madam. A few months ago, you wrote what I consider a straightforward letter indicating that you had been friends with the plaintiff,
yes.
that clearly in your mind he wanted more than just a friendship. You were not interested in anything more than a friendship.
True.
And that you felt as if because of the way he feels, do I look as if I need help? Because of the way he feels, you shouldn't even continue with a friendship. Pretty straightforward letter and put very well. I have your name, address, etc., and will begin paying you the monies owed, $500, as soon as I am financially able. Thank you for your helping me as I was desperate. Okay. should keep better notes, Mr. Beauchamp. It would make my life much easier. You're just lucky that you have this letter. Otherwise, you'd be out of luck.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. I'm listening.
I do feel that I owe him $100 for my dog's situation. I do have a pet.
No, listen to me.
I borrowed that.
Shh, listen to me. November 11th of the year 2000, you wrote him this letter acknowledging a debt in the amount of $500. Tell me what happened after November 11th of the year 2000 that you believe vitiates, does away with the debt.
I think that letter is dated November 17th. The reason I'm pointing that out is my birthday was on November 12th.
November 11th.
Okay.
17th is a 1-7. This is a 1-1.
Okay, well, I know I wrote that right after my birthday in which he proposed to me. When I said no, all of a sudden he was suing me for $500. Now I want to say, for one thing, had I just gone with him and made him happy or whatever by marrying him, it was just understood I would owe him no money. You know, we'd be the best of friends and there would be no problems. I won't go all into it, but he kind of thinks everything revolves around money, every emotion, everything. And I cannot be
Right now, that's what it's all about, madam. I'm not here thinking about your emotions.
I know.
I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist, therapist, counselor, or anything else.
Okay.
I'm here talking about money.
Okay.
On the 11th of November of the year 2000, you acknowledged a debt to him in the amount of $500. I want you to explain to me, after November 11th, did you pay him? Did you pay him back?
No.
Did you have a conversation with him where he said, I am forgiving the loan?
Okay, the $100 loan?
The $500 loan?
No.
So now you tell me why you don't owe him the money.
I do not any longer feel like I owe him any money because he has stalked me, showed up at family functions, and sang love songs to me when I never even invited him. He has embarrassed me, told lies, very personal lies to my sister, to my family, that have been humiliating. We always were just friends, but because he wanted it to be more, he kind of painted this picture to everyone around us.
When did you realize he wanted it to be more?
Oh, about 3 or 4 months into the relationship. I wasn't sure, but after I kept reiterating that we were just friends, about 3 or 4 months, I kind of thought, well, there might not be any talking him into just being friends.
After that, did you take any money from him?
After that, no, I didn't take any money from him, but we would go out to shopping
Just a
malls.
second.
We would go out. Okay.
Just a second. When did you first meet her?
I first met her in April of 1999.
And these loans didn't begin until October of 1999.
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
So if you say that you knew within the first 3 months, you
I wasn't
started
positive.
taking money
All right.
well after you knew that he cared for you in a different way than you cared for him.
I wasn't positive, Your Honor. I just had a gut feeling that there was no talking him out of just being friends, and he wanted more out of the friendship. I wasn't
Then
positive.
you should have written
but
this letter a long time ago and not compounded your foolishness by taking money from him. Bird, look at the second hand on your watch. The defendant has 30 seconds to tell me about her counterclaim.
I do honestly believe that because on the basis of 2 factors that I do not owe Mr. Beauchamp.
I'm talking about your counterclaim, madam, and you're wasting time.
Okay. The reason is because I encouraged my dad to hire him for at least $1,200 of projects. My dad would ask me-
Counterclaim.
Well, this is the $500. This is relating to.
He's going to get the $500, madam. Now I'm talking about your counterclaim.
Okay.
You have a counterclaim for harassment.
Okay.
Mental anguish.
Your Honor, may I speak?
No,
wait,
I didn't
this
ask you a
is-
question. Sit down.
Judge, 30 seconds is up.
Maybe
Okay,
she
well-
didn't understand.
Okay.
So we'll
I
give her
didn't
another
understand,
30
I'm sorry.
seconds. Counterclaim.
Okay.
Stress.
The emotional distress was basically him harassing me, stalking me, lying about us having a personal relationship, an intimate relationship when we never did, and
You don't get paid
the
for
mental
that.
distress.
You don't
I
get
went
paid
to a
for that.
psychiatrist over it.
Maybe if you had terminated your friendship with him when you first had a clue, madam, that he was becoming more emotionally involved with you than you were with him, then you wouldn't be seeing a psychiatrist right now. So I'm dismissing your counterclaim. On your claim, sir, I find that she has acknowledged the debt. She has not paid the debt. You have not forgiven the debt. You are entitled to your money. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now the next case.
All parties on Harrelson versus Stracker. Step forward, please.
59-year-old corporate president Seth Harrelson is suing 53-year-old Shirley Stracker and her husband William. Seth says the Stracker's 17-year-old son, Jonathan, wrecked his daughter's car.
All right, Mr. Harrelson, this is your daughter, I assume?
Yes, Your Honor.
She's 16,
Yes, she is.
and you purchased a car for her.
We actually leased the car for her. We put the down payment for her, and she makes the payments.
And according to your complaint, there came a time when your daughter was out with her new car. You can stand up here with your father. And the defendant's son was there, and he asked if he could drive the car, right?
Correct.
And you said okay.
After asking him if he had a license.
You asked him if he had a license. He said yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you let him drive the car.
Yes, Your Honor.
He had an accident, and you want the defendants to pay for all of the unreimbursed expenses that your insurance didn't cover. Mr. and Mrs. Stracker say they didn't have the confidence in their son to let him take driver's ed, to let him have a driver's license. They told him they did not want him to drive yet, and that they should not be held responsible because your daughter let him drive the car. It's a very interesting scenario. Why don't you stand up, sir? Did you and your dad ever have a conversation about letting any of your friends drive your car?
I believe so.
Of course you did. I mean, that sounds normal.
That
Right?
car was for her use only.
Right. So why did you let him drive the car?
Because at the time I was tired and my boyfriend was going to drive the car, but he asked and offered if he could drive, and so I agreed.
Well, did you have your father's permission to let your boyfriend drive the car?
No.
I assume that your boyfriend has driven the car before,
Yes.
without your parents' permission.
Yes.
You didn't know that anybody else was driving this car, I assume.
Wasn't aware of it.
I'm sure. I've had kids of my own who were 16, who I had this discussion with 5 times over.
But we know nothing until after it happens, and then we get smarter.
Right. Tell me about the accident.
We were coming down the street, and upon making a right turn, he stopped in the middle of the lane because he almost missed the street he was supposed to turn right on. And he went to make the right turn, but he made it too late. He pulled into the opposing traffic lane. An oncoming car was coming. He jerked the wheel to the right. He hit off of a curb. The impact from the curb sent us all the way across the other side of the street onto another curb, a lawn, and into a bush, which stopped us from hitting the fence.
What happened when your father found out that he was driving the car?
He was angry. I was grounded for a while.
Now, when did your son turn 16?
July 16th.
Did he ask you to take driver's ed and all that other stuff that kids ask you to take?
Well, I don't recall if he asked me, but I had planned on letting him take it later on, you know, but not now.
Why?
Well, I have 4 sons, and my 3 older ones, I did not allow them to get a car or get their license until they were able to pay for their own car, their own insurance. So, and this was just the rules, so that was the way I was going to have it with them also.
Did you tell him that?
Well, he knew that. Yeah, I've told him that.
What's your first name?
Jonathan.
So you never took driver's ed?
No.
So tell me why you asked Lacey if you could drive the car.
Well, I was just joking around. I didn't really think that she'd let me drive the car. And then she did let me drive the car, which was surprising because she actually did know I did not have a license.
How did she know that?
We've known each other for a while. Everyone in our group of friends makes fun of me because they know I'm not getting my license till I'm probably around 18 or 19, so.
That still doesn't answer my question, Jonathan. Why did you ask her if you could drive the car?
Well, I wasn't really thinking that she'd let me. I was just joking around. It was supposed to be a joke, like.
Okay, so now it was a joke, and then she said okay.
Yeah. And then I stupidly got in the driver's seat, so.
You knew that was wrong.
Yes.
Now, your mother has told me that there were clear rules in your family about not having a driver's license. Were there ever any discussions, arguments in your house, little tiffs about the driver's license?
No, we never.
Good kid. I don't know if I could get away with that. Let me tell you why this case presents a problem to me, Mr. Harrelson. Ordinarily, I would say, well, he clearly is responsible for at least part of the damage to your car because he did, in fact, get behind the wheel, drove it, and he caused damage to your car, and why should you have to shoulder that yourself? The issue that's presented is, should his parents, who have done everything that they can to ensure that he not drive a car, they've made it clear to him that until he is responsible enough, he does not have their permission to do it, and they've acted on what they said. You felt you could trust your daughter, right?
Correct. I think that my only rebuttal to that would be the fact, okay, my daughter is 16. She wanted to drive a car. I took the time to take her out to parking lots, to school grounds, to big areas where there was no traffic to teach her how to responsibly drive a car. Okay, I took those steps. Nobody had a sign around this boy's neck that says, I do not have a license. He knows he doesn't have a license. Nobody put him behind the wheel of that car except himself.
No, you're
Now,
wrong, sir. No, Mr. Harrelson, that's where you're mistaken. But for your daughter's permission, he would not have been behind the wheel of the car. And while you may have given her driving lessons and taught her how to drive responsibly, she still lacked the judgment and the maturity to be able to say to Jonathan, sorry, Jonathan, you can't drive my car whether you have a license or not because I've made a promise to my parents. So that my problem is, if I could hold Jonathan here partially responsible, I would do that. He's a minor, so I can't do that. I have to find that his parents knew or should have known or in some way enabled him to do what he did. And I find that quite to the contrary, they did everything to avoid his being behind the wheel of a car. That's why his parents aren't responsible. Now, if they knew that he had done this sort of thing before, I would say, yes, they are at least partially responsible. But I, quite frankly, Mr. Harrelson, cannot find them partially responsible. He is. I mean, she may have given you permission, given you the car keys, and turned the car over to you, but nobody grabbed you by the throat and put you into the car. So, Mr. Harrelson, I will certainly tell young Jonathan here that he's a very young man, and if he wants to start his life out right, taking care of his own obligations, and if you want to be mature enough, and if you want to drive a car before you're 50 years old, because I guarantee you, I'm looking at your mother in your mother's house, you ain't going to drive a car so soon. Now, in the law, because Jonathan is a minor, I cannot enter a judgment against him. I could enter a judgment against his parents for contributory negligence, because he was contributorily negligent in this accident. But I would have to satisfy myself that they in some way either knew, actively or tacitly, or encouraged him to get behind the wheel of a car, any car, and that would be by participating in him getting a license, by participating in driver's ed. Quite the contrary. In their case, sir, he was told, you can't drive. But you have to understand, Mr. Harrelson, but for the actions of your agent, and in this situation, your daughter was your agent, because you chose to give her a car. You gave her certain rules, which she violated with regard to other people driving the car. So, but for her actions, we would not be here today. Therefore, I can impugn her negligence in letting him drive that car to you. His parents didn't allow him to do that. And if I were to say that they were financially responsible to you, I would be impugning his negligence to them. And they did everything that they could to see to it that their son did not drive a car until they thought he was responsible. I'm telling you, your daughter may know how to drive a car, but she violated your trust on many more than this one occasion. So grounded is one thing, but I would rethink it in any event. For the reasons that I've outlined, your lawsuit is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 521 on the calendar in the matter of Valerio versus Hall.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
Miss Valerio, at a time when you and the defendant were boyfriend and girlfriend, you decided to live together. You took a lease on an apartment, according to you, for a year. There was a problem with that living arrangement. The defendant was taken into custody for some act of domestic violence. You ultimately had a restraining order against him. Is that right?
That's true.
And what you want is for him to pay the remainder of the lease when he was no longer living in the apartment after the restraining order, and some other nonsensy stuff. But mostly it's the money for the lease. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
When did you move in?
September of 2000.
And how long did you actually live together?
Till December 9th of 2000.
Was it on the 9th of December that he was taken into custody?
Yes.
Who called the police?
Actually, he called the police first and hung up on them, and I called the police from a neighbor's house.
So you called the police first.
I did, yes.
Were those charges ultimately dropped?
Yes, they were.
Did you consent to a protective order, or was there a trial?
No, it was just dropped. Everything was just dropped.
Not the restraining order was not dropped.
Exactly.
That's what I asked you, sir. She has a restraining order against
Correct.
you. Did you consent to that restraining order, or was there a trial with regard to her?
There's no trial. I consent to it.
So as part of the restraining order, you knew that you would not be able to live in the house,
Correct.
and that's what you wanted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you pay rent in December?
I had given her cash in December.
Did he pay rent for December?
He gave me $265, which was half of all the utilities from December and January.
Did he pay rent in November?
Yes.
Why do you think he should be responsible for the remainder of the lease?
He signed a lease for a year. It's not my fault that he got kicked out. It's not my fault that he made a mistake and can no longer live there. In order to get out of the lease, he has to pay a month in advance plus a half a month, but that entails me moving. I don't think I should have to move and pack up my stuff just because he can no longer live there.
Well, Ms. Valerio, according to Mr. Hall, he offered to pay the month and a half's rent to move out, but you would not have accepted that anyway.
That was never brought to my attention. He's been talking to the leasing agents, and they told him that they wouldn't allow it.
No, I thought that that was permitted in your lease.
Well, it is, but they're not allowing it because I have to move out, and they don't feel that I should have to move out, and neither do they.
You're not going to get your money. This was an error in judgment on both of your parts to move in together. It lasted a relatively short period of time. He is precluded from living in your home. He consented to a protective order. If you have the ability to minimize your losses, even though that involves you moving, you can't expect him to support you. You're not married to each other. And certainly he should have paid December's rent because you were living there up till December 9th. Is that right?
Yes, as I was, which I did.
You have proof that you paid December's
No,
rent?
unfortunately, I did not ask her for a receipt.
Did you always pay her in cash?
No, just the last 2 months because I had a restraining order against me, so...
I'm not talking... When did you have a restraining order?
The whole time we lived there, he never paid rent. I paid rent. He didn't even have a job half the time he lived there.
I have receipts.
Well, show me your receipts.
Deposit, first month's rent.
He paid a security deposit of $100. I paid for groceries. I paid for food.
I'm not talking groceries and food. We're talking now rent.
I'm talking all bills.
No,
I have the receipts for everything.
I'm talking rent.
I have the receipts for everything. Every month.
Valerio, shh, I want you to listen to me. I've said this before. I don't know whether you've heard it before. When two people decide to live together without benefit of marriage, there are different set of rules than when you're married. I don't choose to waste my time in going through your grocery bills and seeing who was supposed to pay for what box of Rice Krispies.
Actually, I was speaking about rent because there's.
Well, that's all I'm speaking about. You
Yeah.
said I have all these bills. I have grocery bills and
He has-
cable bills and all the other bills, and I don't intend to do that. The crux of your case is about a lease to which he obligated himself, and to which he was prepared to sign off, pay the month's rent, get off the lease, but it would involve you moving. And you said, I'm not moving.
I was never asked.
Just a minute. Yeah, it came up. I want to tell you something. It came up, Miss Valeria, because you were too quick to say, I don't think that I should have to move because of his actions.
No, I heard that from the leasing agents. That's the only person I heard it from. I never heard
so
by
just
letter,
a second.
by nobody.
If you heard it from the leasing agent, then the leasing agent said to you, he came in trying to sign off on the lease. You mean it just came up? You said, how are you, leasing agent? Good morning.
When I went
and the
into-
leasing agent said to you, you shouldn't have to move because of something he did. Is that how it came up?
No.
All right. You know, don't give me
Oh, I know.
smart. All right. I see September. What about October, sir?
October, November, they were all
Look-
paid.
Show me. You have checks here.
I don't have the checks for October and November.
Why not?
Didn't pay them.
I did pay them.
Shh. Don't talk to her.
All right. The checks that I wrote out, I don't get actually copies back. Those checks there you see are from a relative of mine that wrote them out for me at the time because I had no checking account. So their bank sends back their checks. The bank that I currently use does not send back my checks.
Fine, just show me a statement.
Again, I don't have that.
Well, where'd you think you were coming today? To a dance? If you don't have the checks, then you have a bank statement. The bank statement shows what checks were
I
paid.
don't have it. Rent was paid on time every month.
Well, but the question is, did you pay your part of the rent? She says You paid some, but not all.
Well, we were roommates, so of course I did.
He didn't have a job.
Let me see your checks for October, November, and December.
There's,
You don't want this, do you?
What is that?
It's her
yeah, it's my
ledger.
checking account that shows.
It's her ledger.
I don't want your ledger. I want bank statement. You have a bank statement? Do you get your checks back?
No, but in the actual ledger, it tells that I pay Coachman Crossing. I mean, when you sign your check, there's like a backing
All right,
to
let
it
me
that
see.
copies it.
She's very organized, so.
You actually don't get a receipt from them.
I'm not talking about a receipt, madam. I'm talking about a bank statement.
I didn't bring bank statements because when you sign a check, it has a carbon copy. So I could actually show you my checking account, but those are copies of it.
Let me explain something to you. When you write out a check, there's a carbon underneath.
Exactly.
You can write out a check, rip it up into little teeny pieces, and throw it in the garbage. And guess what you still have? The carbon. Right?
I do have the carbon, but
Just
I
a
don't have it
second.
with me.
Hello? Didn't you understand what I just said?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Eileen Valerio says former live-in boyfriend Roger Hall owes her for breaking an apartment lease and the money she paid for car insurance. Roger says Eileen won't return his stereo equipment.
So you don't have your checks for October, November, and December either?
They should be all there. But
This is not here, madam. This is your ledger. This is your ledger. This is what you write out. This has nothing to do with a bank.
Your Honor, I use starter checks.
What?
I use starter checks.
Starter checks?
Correct.
Where are they?
I already used them.
You people deserve each other. I swear to you people actually deserve each other. Are you still living in the apartment?
Yes. The lease is going to be up in August.
Are you planning on staying there? Do you have a roommate?
No.
You live there all by yourself? And you're enjoying it?
Absolutely.
Pay for it. Now, let's get to next. Monies to purchase a car is what you have here.
What happened is when we moved to Florida, he had a car and he didn't have a license. So I put his car under my name for insurance and signed up for a policy for a year. We had agreed that we would use the same vehicle for a year. And he took the car, so now I don't have a car.
So you want him to pay for a car? That's what you said, monies to purchase a car.
Well,
and taxi transportation.
Taxi transportation is what I've been.
So
It
you want him to
averages out
pay-
to about $200 a month. That's a big expense, and I already paid the premium of the insurance policy, so I'm driving nothing and paid something.
Did you pay for? You have one point that I will give you. If you paid for the insurance and he's driving the car, he should reimburse you for the insurance, right?
Insurance is canceled. It's done.
It's over?
It's over with. It's
I
been
already
over
paid
with.
the premium, $626.
For how? Well,
There's no way.
just a second. When did you cancel the insurance?
Months ago.
No, last month. He took the car, so I canceled the insurance because I don't.
Oh, he took the car, you canceled the insurance. What are you bothering me for?
Because I paid the premium already. I paid a year's worth of insurance.
Then they will reimburse it to you. What's next? And he's not paying for your taxi cab bills. What else?
I'm without a vehicle, so I don't get reimbursed for that.
No.
It's my vehicle.
Do I look like I need help from you? Huh?
No.
Miss Valerio, you tried a situation, it didn't work out, cost you a couple of bucks. What are you bothering me for? Let's get to your counterclaim, which is equally nonsense. Now, you say that she has of yours, sir, some property.
Correct.
And you also say that she damaged the car that she was driving around in, which is
Correct.
your car that no longer has insurance.
Correct.
All right, let's start with the damaged car. When did she damage your car? When she was driving it?
When I picked the car up and drove it out of the parking lot,
You mean after you separated?
after we separated, I had to escort.
Yes,
Officer
you
the
picked
peace.
the car up and you drove it out of the parking lot. What happened?
Well, I drove it home and started smoking real bad.
It started smoking.
Correct.
So?
Reason why? Because there was no oil in the car.
Yes.
So it caused damage internally.
Hello guys, I hope you like this Get Judy video very much. Subscribe to watch more videos daily, very amazing. You know, Judge Judy is very nice lady. I really like him. And if you like him and his cases, then make sure you comment below. Because I am regular uploading videos, very hard working student I am. I do much work and I am very nice guy, and I hope you will be also very nice guy. And to support nice guy, you make sure watching video till the end and subscribing my channel, because it does not cost too much to subscribing this channel. It's free, and I hope you will do this 100%. And if you do this 100%, then I love you. And if you love me, then make sure comment love you. Okay? Because Judge Judy is very nice lady, and his case is also very nice. He believe on justice and giving justice to the world, to his peoples. And justice is very popular in United States because of Judge Judy. People are watching his cases and learning from his cases and from his different point of view, that how he helped the people to give him justice. Because giving justice is not for everyone. It costs very much to give a justice to a person. So make sure you subscribe my channel, and I will catch you in the next one.